everyone, and thank you for attending our Focus webinar on financial reporting. My name is Brittany Herman. I'm a marketing specialist here at Aktion Associates, and I will be moderating today's event. This webinar is designed to learn the importance of modern financial reporting and how this can greatly help distributors through Focus. We want you to use this opportunity to ask questions, so feel free to use the Q&A feature during this event. We will have time to answer them at the end of the event, and if a further answer is required, we will follow up after the event. All attendee audio is muted to provide the best user experience possible. So if you have a question, please use the Q&A feature so we can answer it. Lastly, the webinar is being recorded, and a link to this recording will be sent to you shortly after the webinar ends today. Let me introduce you to our presenters today. We are joined by Rob Dallas, who will give us an overview about Aktion and who we are. And we are also joined by Christine Martin from Focus, who will be giving our presentation on financial reporting. Today's agenda is a little bit about Aktion and Focus, why to advance from static spreadsheet reporting, automated consolidation for month-end reporting, ways to empower managers, a centralized source of financial data, and why to have a secure cloud access. And at the end, we will have time for Q&A. So with all that being said, I want to introduce Rob and turn it over to you for a little bit about Aktion.
Thanks, Brittany. Well, welcome everyone, and thanks for attending. Most of you know who we are, but we have gone through some growth recently. We currently are over 200 employees, we're supporting over 6,500 customers. We're a national ERP software reseller and IT infrastructure provider focused on architectural engineering, construction, real estate, distribution, and manufacturing industries. We have 2 company-owned data centers. We're currently number 16 on the we were 16, excuse me, on the 2022 Top 100 VAR list, and we recently won the 2023 Top Workplace Award. As far as our Infor partnership, we are Infor's largest distribution partner, 25-year running gold partner. We have did some research on reporting and BI tools, and after researching many different options, we chose to partner with Focus. We think they're the best breed as far as a BI and reporting tool goes. And today we're lucky enough to have Christine show us the financial reporting aspect of Focus. So with that being said, Christine, I'll throw it over to you.
Thanks so much, Rob. I appreciate it. And thanks to the Aktion team for putting this together. We certainly appreciate your partnership. So a little bit about Focus before we get started. We have over 300 employees worldwide with offices in the United States, the UK, Australia, New Zealand. Similar to the Aktion slide, we're now above 1,200 customers worldwide. And our solution is not just the data analytics, but financial reporting and budgeting. And it's those 2 latter things that we're going to talk about today. On the Infor space, we've got over 100 customers using Infor that have connected into Focus, and we've got more than 10 years of working with Infor users as well. We have pre-built integrations and content for the Infor space, whether it's Cloud Suite Distribution, A+, Fax, or SXE. So let's talk a little bit about what's slowing down decision-making processes. And one of the things that we've heard an awful lot from our customers and what an FSN survey showed was that people are spending more than 30% of their time looking for data, searching for the right data. Back when I was in industry, I would always go to IT and say, here's the report that I need. And then I'd get it and I'd need a little bit more and I'd go back to IT to get more. So I spent so much of my time just trying to get the right amount of data, the right data, so that I could do my analysis and the financial side of my job as well. So years later, we're still hearing that same conversation from customers, is that they're spending so much time trying to get to this data. And then next, they're taking this data and putting it into spreadsheets. And I'm an accountant. I love spreadsheets, right? But spreadsheets, I think the study is that 90% of spreadsheets have errors in them. So these spreadsheets are disconnected too, right? You export this data from a system, it goes into a spreadsheet. Once that data gets updated, your spreadsheet isn't necessarily updated as well, but people are still relying on spreadsheets. And what Focus is doing is trying to modernize this approach to financial reporting and analysis. This financial reporting piece really shouldn't be a puzzle. Most people talk about spending their time updating and reworking reports. Think about this month-end process where every single month you publish these financial reports and then people come back with questions. Hey, tell me about this. I don't understand this number. What transactions came from this? Then there's sending information about all of that, then coming back and making updates and republishing those reports. So it's a time-consuming process, and being able to close the books takes a little bit of time right now. So what's holding up this finance function? You know, for most financial organizations, once their strategic objectives are set and KPIs are created to measure, what follows is that budgets are usually reviewed and set, then forecasts are created. But forecast requires frequent monitoring. If the performance reporting is slow, for example, most organizations are able to report quarterly, it's this cascading effect that begins where missed KPIs and forecasts are not realized, analyzed in time, and then adjusted, leaving an organization as much as 6 to 8 months behind before they make adjustments. We spend all this time putting together month-end reports and budgets and forecasts that we need to be able to use that, capture that, and pivot within our business based on the information that's available to us. So the problem is that data is growing. Data doesn't stop. It just keeps creeping up. And there are studies that have shown that the amount of data is going to grow by 61% by 2025, making this data management issue worse over the next 3 years. A lot of organizations have increased their budget for data-related transformation initiatives. But it's these initiatives that they just haven't necessarily had time to put in place. I mean, think about the pandemic, right? Maybe prior to things shutting down, people said, all right, we've got to get in touch with this data. We've got to figure out how to wrangle it and use it the most effective way. And then things got shut down, reopened again, and now they're scrambling just to get back to normal. And one of the things that we've heard for most folks is there's got to be a quick and smooth way to implement a solution for this data. And most companies don't have more than 3 months to be able to implement a solution. And that's really where Focus comes into play, right? Focus has the ability to quickly and easily connect to the underlying data and then populate with these pre-built dashboards and reports and favorites. There is some validation that needs to happen, but it is a quick return on your investment. And this financial planning and analytics shouldn't be a luxury. Organizations need their teams to be able to focus on this FP&A and provide leadership with a quick view of their performance metrics and give them instant insights to navigate today's complex business world. But at most small to mid-sized businesses, only finance leaders are working on this FP&A process, and they've got limited bandwidth, which means there's not enough time to really be strategic about their business. Since small to mid-sized finance leaders don't have the luxury to do much of this analysis and be more strategic in their role, it requires better tools and systems to be able to give them some time back. So besides wrangling data, their teams spend too much time addressing timely reports, reliability of the data, the ability to make quick changes, and accuracy of that data, as well as this ability to get to insights quickly using analytics and reporting tools that don't take months and months of time to learn. And to me, this is just this great picture of what's creating all of this data. So we may be connecting into Infor, but maybe you acquire a company that's on some other system. You want to be able to capture that data as well. You've got a CRM. Wouldn't it be great to be able to capture all of the data within your CRM? The amount of data that's being captured by your business every single day is overwhelming. What do you do with all that data? How do you pull it all together to be able to make decisions? I'll give you a couple instances of what our customers have told us that they've used Focus for. And to me, it's kind of mind-blowing what they've done. One of our customers brought in call detail records from company-owned cell phones and office VoIP phones. They brought in their CRM data. They married that up with their sales data from their ERP, and they're able to see how much time their reps spend on the phone with customers that don't buy from them. And conversely, how much time don't they spend with their largest customers? So being able to quickly and easily bring in data from multiple sources really helps your business pivot quicker. So I think about data kind of like a Rubik's Cube, if you will. What looks like a simple tool, unless you know how to use it, is really complicated. I know I still haven't been able to solve a Rubik's Cube myself, but Focus works kind of like a Rubik's Cube, right? You can twist it, you can turn it, you can't change it, it is what it is. But with the right amount of information, you can put it together to show the story and almost solve that puzzle, if you will. There's millions of different answers and ways to be able to solve a Rubik's Cube. So with that, I want to take you over and give you a little bit of an idea of how Focus works. From the analytics side, we'll touch on that real quickly, but that is the foundation for everything within Focus. Layered on top of the analytics is the financial reporting piece, and then layered on top of that is the budgeting piece as well. So we're going to spend, I hate to say, focus our time on financial reporting and budgeting, but I only have about 10 minutes, so we're just going to hit very high level. If you see something that's intriguing that you want to learn more about, please reach out to your account manager at Aktion. So with that, I'm going to share my screen. And you should be able to see a dashboard of sorts. And this is a dashboard. We've called this the financial analysis dashboard. So it's taking all of this underlying data that we have, whether it's coming from Infor and other sources, because you're certainly not limited to one data source, and putting it together in a single page, if you will. And if I move my mouse around, these are specific widgets, right? So maybe I'm the CFO. I want to come in every single day and be able to look at this information. I can scroll down and look at my trends. I can look at where I am according to my budget as well. So being able to gather all of this information and put it together in a single place really becomes effective for folks. It's no longer about calling IT and asking them to send you information that you then put into Excel, and then as soon as you get it into Excel, it's outdated. This becomes an interactive tool. If I want to look at customer count, I could certainly drill down into those details. So I started here at this dashboard level because I think it's a great way to show you everything that you can see about your business all in one page. But I want to take you back real quick and show you the foundation of Focus. Focus is made up of databases. So this data coming from Infor and any other source populates these databases. And we have already designed these databases to capture data from the Infor products. But we do have a tool called Database Designer, so you could bring in data from other sources. Database Designer was not meant to be used by necessarily an IT person. It was meant for almost the average everyday user. So I am not an IT person. I'm not a computer person. I am a state and local tax person. When I first started at Focus, they gave me access to a Focus instance and said, build a database. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm doing. I was able to bring in, through an Excel file, my weather for the year. I live in Montana. I brought in my electric bill for the year. I created a database that showed the obvious, right? When the temperature goes down, my electric bill goes up. But this is just from a layman. I don't have to be a data scientist to be able to do that. So you can build your own databases, but we're giving you pre-populated databases. We're just waiting for that connection into your Infor system and other data sources as well. We also provide out-of-the-box dashboards, and I showed you that financial analysis dashboard, but we certainly have an AR dashboard, a customer scorecard, vendor scorecard, so you can see all of that information. And then we've also got favorites. Our customers have told us, here's the reports that I want to see over and over again. A report to us equals a favorite rather than you having to recreate it through a database. We have marked these as favorites, and you can see that I can bookmark some things out here as well. And rather than you coming to Focus to run these favorite reports, you can subscribe to them so they show up in your inbox every day if you want to. But I'm going to take you back to databases, and we're going to look at the financial statement database. So we're capturing every single general ledger transaction that happens. And we're providing out of the box these standard financial reports, a profit and loss, a balance sheet, a trial balance, a cash flow. But we're allowing our customers to customize these financial statements. You could have, and once I come up here to statements, you'll see I've got 4 different P&Ls. They have the same bottom line, but maybe I want to put more statistics on a P&L. This is going to go to a set of investors, maybe to bankers, whoever that may be, and they want to see more statistics than just a standard out-of-the-box P&L. So we give you some clues as to each of these lines. In this instance, working days is a calculation. So anytime you see that FX, it's a calculation. I can look at revenue, narrow down my revenue a little bit more. So I can see sales versus cash sales. But similar to our analytics, we're going to give you the ability to do a couple things. I'm going to look at division, and in this instance, I've got multiple divisions. That financial statement that I just showed you is the consolidation of all of these divisions. But I want to look at this a little bit differently. So I'm going to put this in what we call matrix mode. And I'm going to go back to my financial summary. And while I'm going to be able to see the total in my first column, what this is going to do is not just show me the total, but now I can see each of those divisions next to each other. And if I want to look at, let's look at all periods. Let's reset this. I'm going to look at all periods. I want to see what's happening with my revenue. I don't necessarily want to go out and download some data to look at my trends. Let's come out here and let's look at operating expenses. And I want to be able to see, let's visualize this. I want to be able to see what's happening with my fees in accounting. And I can see current year versus previous year in here. And I can even change what this looks like. If this is a report that I think would be helpful for somebody, I can always add it to a dashboard with a click of a button. So you can take this information and narrow it down further and further. I showed you how to visualize something, but we also give you the ability to see those transactions that make up those numbers. So again, think about what you're doing every single month when you publish these financial statements and people come back and ask a whole bunch of questions. You could give people access to be able to do their own analysis. There are controls built in so that you can limit who has access to specific divisions, specific GL accounts, whatever that may be. It's not following the same rules within Infor itself. You set the access rules here internally within Focus. So I can start at a financial report and drill down into those details. So this becomes something that is super helpful when we're talking about combining multiple ERPs. Or if you are moving from one system to the next, maybe you don't want to bring in a whole bunch of history. You just bring it into Focus and be able to have just current information in your new ERP. There's a whole bunch of things that we can do with this. But I'm going to take you back. I'm going to reset everything, take you back to our financial statements. And we've done a couple other things as well. And we're going to jump into the budgeting piece here in a second. Right now, I'm looking at my year-to-date financial statements, but I do have the ability to view budgets in here. And these aren't necessarily budgets from Infor. They certainly can be, but we've got a budgeting tool that allows you to manage the workflow of budgets and be able to see those in here. So if I turn on budgets, now I can see not just my actuals for January through May, I can compare it to the same period prior year. I can now also see my budget as well. And if I wanted to, I could look at multiple budgets as well. And this budgeting tool, we're taking all of this underlying data that we have for analytics and allowing you to create budgets, but easily create budgets, not necessarily in Excel. One of our customers at the beginning of the pandemic, they decided they were going to re-budget every single week. Gives me a little bit of heart palpitations thinking about doing that, but this tool was easy enough for them to say, okay, let's look at what our budget's going to be for the next month based on what happened last week or where we are year to date. So I want to jump over into the budgeting piece. You can create as many budgets as you want, and those budgets could be based off the sales database. It could be based off the profit and loss where you're actually creating an operational budget. I'm going to go into a budget that I just created the other day called Sales Budget by Class and Rep. So you'll see on this left-hand side, I've got my inventory classes. And underneath those inventory classes, I have all the sales reps. So maybe I want to be able to budget for each one of these classes by my sales rep. But I want to do things a little bit differently. I want to look at how many units that sales rep sold last year. And I want to look at the average price for that sales rep for that product line, that class of items, and then be able to budget that way. So in this instance, I can see we've got a comparison out here. I can also say, you know what, I think I'm going to have him sell 900 units of illumination next year. Based on the average price from last year, it's going to calculate every single month what his quota is for the year. In this instance, I did a budget based on the value of those items. I could certainly do a budget based on the quantity of the items that I want him to sell as well. So I could do this for each one of my reps. And you'll see when I hover over this FX visualization, it shows me what that calculation is. So let's go ahead and change Owen's. That I think Owen is going to knock it out of the park, and we're going to spread that across. Once I have completed this budget, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to send this over. Hey, Rob, please look and see if this is directionally correct. And I'm going to assign it over to him. So now I can't change it. It's sitting with that budget owner, that budget user. That budget user is going to get a notification that he's got some work that he's got to do on a budget. And when he logs in, he'll see that he's got a number of tasks to do. He can go in here and say, yep, that looks really good. Or let me look at this and compare it. And really, is Owen going to sell 152% more than he did last year? Let's look at what he did 2 years ago, previous. And I'm going to go back not 12 months, but I'm going to go back 24 months. And I'm going to look at that local value. So I can change this comparison, not just, hey, compared to last year, I think he's going to sell 152% more. This makes much more sense. In 2021, we're actually going to sell 55% more than what he did in 2021. Once all of this budgeting is done, you mark it as complete and then publish it. It's not going to push this information back into Infor or its source system, although you could certainly export it. And once it's been exported, you could reformat it and import it into Infor. But once it's been published, it now then will show up in your financial statements as well, or in that sales database. In that sales database, I could look at each rep and see where they are compared to the budget that I just published. So all of these things work together to create a single tool for your analytics, for budgeting, for forecasting based on where you are with actuals to your budget. You can reforecast, and also your financial planning. I know we've only got a couple minutes left, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to head back over to our presentation and real quick talk about having all of this data in a single place with Action Analytics, layered on top of that with financial statements, and then the budgeting and forecasting tool. We're giving your entire company this ability to plan, prepare financial statements, do analysis, and put this data into a single place with easy access that has a very low learning curve. So I want to open this up for questions. I know we have limited amount of time.
Thanks, Christine. I will go ahead and check. It does look like we have a few questions. I know we got a couple minutes, so I can push them to the slides. Give me 1 second. Perfect. So it looks like somebody's asking if you can take data from multiple systems and put it inside Focus.
You absolutely can. Focus has over 200 pre-built integrations to other ERP systems, to CRM systems, to e-commerce shopping carts, whatever that may be. But it could also be Excel. We've got a tool called Sync that you can point it to a specific folder on your server, and every single day it can go out and look for that spreadsheet, bring that spreadsheet into Focus as well. So you're not limited to the number of data sources. And to me, this perfect example, which we've heard an awful lot of lately, is this consolidation and the mergers and acquisitions that are happening within the distribution world, that you may be acquiring a company that's on a completely different system. You don't want to wait until they're migrated to your ERP to be able to do this analysis. You can connect it in and layer it on top of your Infor. You could also use it for due diligence. We've got a customer that uses Focus in the due diligence process.
Perfect. It looked like that was our only question down there. I know we are running pretty tight, but that's okay. I'll go ahead and switch it out to the next slide. I want to thank everyone for coming and attending today's webinar. I'll ask Rob or Christine if they have any last final thoughts before we leave.
Just thank you as well. And please reach out to your Action account manager so we can dig deeper into how Focus and specifically the financial reporting can benefit your organization. And thank you, Christine.
Thank you, Aktion, for hosting this and allowing us to present and talk about the solution and how it can help distributors.
Awesome. I want to thank everyone again. And with that, I want to say have a great day, everyone.